Welcome back to iNN's headlines and beyond. We are now back in our the next segment, and I say the next segment because it's not our last segment. We are adding another segment into the broadcast. There are now three segments. There is political domestic affairs. There is the third special segment, and then there's a second special segment. Excuse me for that. There is a second special segment, which is this now, and then there's the third foreign affairs, which comes last. The second special section of segment of the broadcast uh, often is needed to fill in information that is missing, and the information that is missing now is a one that you may have heard about or heard something about it, but not be totally familiar with. And this is the whole thing. Have you ever heard the term Illuminati, Bilderberg, or Masons, or New World Order, NWO, or anyone talking about the Jews and what they're doing and so on and so forth? They're talking about conspiracy theories. And conspiracy theories now have become very popular, particularly among the independents. And not only among the independents, conspiracy theories, I think, around the world globally, if you sit and talk to a lot of immigrant people, and I talk to people from other countries, and I sit down and talk with some of my uncles and so on and so forth, and they're very much into conspiracy theories. They're very much believe what they're being told is a conspiracy theory. But if you sit down and you analyze the conspiracy and you look at what's going on in the context of what's happened in history, the reality of conspiracy theory starts to unfold. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take the step into conspiracy theory like Jesse Ventura does in his show Conspiracy Theory. He's done that, and there's a number of shows out on like Decoders, and there's a whole variety of these different so-called conspiracy theory mystery shows. There's even the stuff surrounding UFOs, Area 51, anything you've talked about like that, anything involving the government and government conspiracy. This is prime target that we need to talk about because it does have an impact in how people vote because it affects how they believe in different policies that are being proposed. So we're going to go back, and ironically, we have a good issue now here with the Martin Zimmerman case. Ask yourself, because of the irregularities that are going on, we need to ask ourselves the question, and this is going to be a short segment now for the conspiracy theory. This is something that will be brought to us. I'll bring it to you guys that we added into the feature starting next week. This week is going to be a shortened week. It's the Greek Easter. So tomorrow night will be the last broadcast for the week. So Wednesday night is going to be the last broadcast for the week. Because Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday will be the Easter weekend for me because I'm Greek. I'll explain that a little bit later on where my ethnic origins come from. Uh, so we won't be back until Monday. So we'll have the week, but I am going to be uploading the fifth episode in the series of Daniel Jurgens' The Prize that will be uploaded, and it will be in the bar now rather than being the fourth document, the fourth episode. It's now going to be the fifth. I urge you strongly to watch it because it does involve a conspiracy theory. You can see where a lot of the history of this came from. That is it. The George Zimmerman case represents something that's really, really interesting here because there's an enormous amount of irregularities. And every time there's an irregularity in the case, particularly when you have media bias on that, you need to ask yourself the question, who's behind this spin? Anytime any issue is spun in the media, you need to ask yourself, who's behind it and who has interest in it? Well, it's turned out now that you have the political parties, both the Democrats and the Republicans, on either side of the issue, and this is going to become an election issue. This Martin Zimmerman case is now an election issue. This is what O'Reilly was talking about. Obama trying to put together a coalition of the aggrieved, that the United States is not fair, and that the Republicans stand against the aggrieved, and inflict this damage on people because they are racist, they're anti-woman, they're anti-gay, and a lot of this rhetoric now starts to play out and resonate throughout the media as both sides form. And so one has to ask yourself now the question here. And this is the term that you'll find used not only in conspiracy theory, but you'll also find it used properly inside the intelligence community. That's something known as a false flag. It's an event created to look like something organic, but was created for a very specific political reason, to drive a political outcome. And the question is now, is this Martin Zimmerman case here an Obama false flag? And this is where we need to ask ourselves, and we can't answer this, because we can't answer this, this is where the conspiracy begins. Now, a lot of conspiracy theorists will stand up and say, yes, this is the march towards the New World Order, because they're predicting that Obama will not give up his presidency easily, that he's going to start a race war, and that in this race war, that they're now building FEMA camps, where people are going to be held in these barricades, and that the United States under Obama is going to march into a socialist totalitarian society. In other words, Obama's not going to simply be social left anymore. He's going to make the move to communism, to full-out communism. Right now, Obama is socialist left. He's a leftist socialist, but he hasn't moved fully over to communism. They're viewing, a lot of the people who are in a number of these vlogs who support this whole concept of the New World Order, which is being proposed by the international socialists, believe that Obama is going to move the United States from its traditional point out so much further to the left that the United States is going to become a communist state. It's not there yet. It's moving towards it. It's moving towards totalitarianism. It's moving towards a police state. This is what we have now with the TSA. But this whole police state thing with the TSA is supported not only by the Democrats, but supported by the Republicans as well. So you have support for a lot of these Orwellian, draconian laws on both sides of the aisle. So you can't attribute this to one group or another, but they're going to try and do this. And I think the question is here, is the Martin Zimmerman case, which is no longer a case anymore, it is a political issue, it's spun into a political issue, is this a false flag being planted by Obama? And I'll leave you this for this section of conspiracy, the middle section now, the interest section, and I will pick this up, and you can start following along and seeing whether or not this is a New World Order when we get into the third section, the final section of the news broadcast, and that is the foreign affairs section. I'll see you on the other side.